Peace, family. Welcome to my video. This video is going to be about everything that I learned, or as much as I could think to share that I thought was important in my first year of gardening. So my garden is a little different right now because it's kind of packed up. We're moving tomorrow, so we're getting a U-Haul and we're gonna carry all my plant babies and some other things to Texas from San Diego. But the number one thing that I learned is that plants are like people. Okay, so everybody's different. We all have different needs and wants and dreams and skills. Plants are the same. Some of them like a whole bunch of sun. Some of them are heavy feeders, so you have to try to feed them more. So the first thing I would do anytime you get a new seed or anytime you get a new plant is either look up or read the seed packet and figure out, how does that plant love to live? Does it need 6 hours of sun, or can it do with 3? Does it like to grow in the shade or partial shade, or does it need full sun? So I'm going to turn it around and give you guys a few examples, and then it's going to be a bunch of little clips along the way to make this full video. I hope that I can share some great things with you guys about gardening. I really love it. It actually feeds my soul as well as my belly, and so I just wanted to share what I learned. I'm still new and I'm still very much learning, and I'm definitely open to feedback. If you have any, comment below. Let me know what you think. But let me turn it around. So I'll start here. This middle part of my patio is the most sunny part. So that's why my tomatoes are here. My other tomatoes over here, which gets a lot of sun, this middle area. My pepper is here. These are purple sprouting broccoli. They actually don't like too much sun, but when they were in their infancy growing up, I thought the sun was great. Plus, it was early spring, so it's just now starting to get pretty hot in San Diego. So I would actually, if I was staying here, I would move these soon over here somewhere. That gets more partial shade. So as you can see, that's why I have my kale back there, because kale does not need full sunlight. My calendulas need a lot of sun. That's another pepper right here. This Meyer lemon. So all the sunny stuff is in the middle. What I basically did was watched where the sun hit and how many hours it hit, and then I just put my plants around accordingly. So these are longevity spinach. They do not require a whole lot of sun. They like partial shade, and so they're perfectly happy here. And so that's how I did it. Even these kale, they don't get as much sun as the things in the middle get. So that's why they're kind of like tucked behind the wall and on the side of this air conditioning thing, because they're fine with that. Diva here, she loves water. She wants to be watered every single day. Most of my plants are not like that. And these broccoli are very heavy feeders, so if I break off something that looks yellow, I just bury it back in there. I also have a compost in place, and I remember to fertilize everything. So just learn about the plants that you are growing so that they can make bunches and bunches of food for you and your family. And I hope you guys find the rest of this video helpful, and I would love some more tips and tricks. If you have some for me, comment below and let me know what you guys think. And don't forget that plants are like people. Peace. Another thing that I learned in the garden is that plants can be more resilient than we think, and they are created for abundance. So what I mean by that, this is a calendula. Isn't she lovely? She's got a bloom that's about to open. Well, I have 3 of them. There's one here, and there's one back here that doesn't have any blooms yet, but she's getting there. All 3 of those came in one pot. It was a pot kind of like this one, and they were all to get, like, the roots were all growing together But I kind of snatched them apart. I'm saying snatched, like I love my plants. I don't manhandle them. But you know, they were kind of stuck together, so I did have to break them. And I potted 3. 1, 2, 3. Instead of just having one calendula, I can have them throughout my garden. So this one, actually, I took it down to water it, but it sits up there. Another example is this tomato plant. I bought this one tomato plant start from Sprouts. It had some blooms on it when I bought it, and then now it's making a tomato or 2. When I bought this, I took out, actually it looks like they're growing back. I took these suckers out. I took one from here, I think, and here, like in the little elbows. And those are here now. This is one of the suckers. This is about 3 weeks, maybe 4, almost a month after I took them off. So I took them off, I soaked them in water, they grew their own roots, and then I potted them. So the plants are really built for abundance. They're built to give you food. They want to grow. It's okay sometimes. I watch Park Rose Permaculture. I love her, and she just digs stuff up, splits it up, and then puts it in different places. And I'm like, oh, okay, they'll be okay. I will tell you that I watered these with sea moss water after I did that. I always try to provide lots of nutrients, like kind of like, I'm sorry, and it's okay, just to help them recuperate, because like I said, plants are like people. Also, these, when I transplanted them, I think I put them in the sun a little too much when they first, you know, moved. So that night I watered them with sea moss water, and in the morning they were fine with it. They were perfectly fine. So plants are more resilient, and they are built for abundance. That's one of my lessons in the garden. Thank you for watching. Peace. The first thing that I learned in my garden in the first year is that size does matter. So if you watch some of my earlier videos, I'll probably try to insert a clip. You'll see a lot more recycled materials and smaller pots like these. Now, I will still use the recycled materials to start seeds and stuff. I do love that, and I love reusing things. But I've learned that plants have way more going on in the spaces that you can't see, meaning under the soil, than we think. And so their root space is way bigger, and if you don't give them enough space, they will not grow. They're not going to give you fruits. For instance, these tomatoes, there's suckers that I pulled off of this one. So their root system is still very small, but if I expect them to get as big as this one and produce fruit, I'm going to need to put them in something bigger. This tomato, which is still growing, it's still kind of young. I bought it as a start. This is in a 5-gallon bucket from Walmart. These are only about $3, so it's not necessarily expensive to have bigger containers. But learning about what your plants need and the spacing is really huge. I'll show you another example. So this kale plant and this kale plant were in a recyclable container over in this other corner. I'm trying not to move too fast. It was in this corner. There were like 7 kale plants in there. I also had a few kale plants in a fish tank that used to be here that we're gonna donate because we're moving. And so these two kale that I just showed you are way older than these kale. The ones that I started in the fish tank were months and months and months after. And so once they sprouted in the fish tank, I made a 5-gallon bucket for these two, and I moved these two over here. Look how big they are. We've eaten off of these too. My little one, my 4-year-old, she likes to come out and harvest for salads. And these two, now this is not very, very big, but it's better space and healthier soil than what was in the fish tank. The roots can also go this way if they like. And this is a little volunteer. I think it's a volunteer watermelon. But the size of your pots, your containers, even the depth of your beds, your garden beds, matters. Okay, so that is one lesson that I have learned from my garden in the first year of gardening. And I'll be back with more soon. Peace. Peace, family. So another thing I learned in my garden is visit your garden daily. Let me show you why. There are aphids. Let me find them. So these are my longevity spinach plants. This one and this one. And these, see if we can, oh, those are aphids. Can you see them? They're tiny, but they're there. These little green buggies are aphids on my longevity spinach. Aphids are pretty easy to deal with. I'm just gonna spray them off with water. But I've also had inchworms before, and inchworms will eat your plants in like 3 days. So it's important to take like a close look at your plants on a daily basis, because some of the pests that will come in would have already done damage in a few days. And you work so hard to grow your plants that, you know, you don't want something coming and just eating it all up and then you have to start over, or it's past the time to plant that thing. Also, so things don't dry out. This is actually my daughter's plant from school. I have been watering it for her, but I also want her to learn like to care for things on her own, so I left it and look at it drying out. So observing your plants on a daily basis gives you the ability to pull off dead stuff, to know when things are ripening. This isn't right, but I'm just saying, if you have fruits, you can watch out for them. You can know when they're ripening. If they're heavy, you can provide them with some support. Yeah, visit your garden on a daily basis just to make sure everything is looking good. Also, I get peace from my garden, so the visits are not always for my plants. They're for me as well. I love to come out here and just be thankful for this beautiful space of abundance, of peace, where I will get food and where things grow and life happens and I grow as a gardener and as a person. I feel close to Mother Earth and my Father God in this space. So visit your garden on a daily basis. Peace. Okay, guys, one other thing that I want to tell you. Well, I don't know if it's the last thing. It's probably not. This is my gorgeous purple tree collard. I just got this for Mother's Day from the nursery. Yes, this is the type of stuff I get for Mother's Day. It brings me so much joy. One thing I learned in my first year of gardening is when you get your plants from the nurseries or from Home Depot or wherever, farmer's market, make sure to check your plants out when you get them home. There is, now I forget what leaf he's on, so give me just a second to find him. There's an inchworm. Here he is. And these inchworms, they start so small. Ugh, I want it to focus. There we go. Can y'all see him? He got to get up out of my garden. Out. I picked 2 off yesterday because that's when I got this plant. And I sprayed neem oil, but maybe I missed him. But just check your plants out, guys, because what you don't want is for pests from a new plant to get into the other plants that you have been taking such good care of. These plants ain't got no time for inchworms. They ain't got time for that. So check your plants when you get them from the nursery or from a friend. Any foreign plants to your garden need to be checked out really, really well. And then they'll make a great addition to your garden. Peace, family. So I'm cleaning up in the garden, trying to kind of pack it up. And it's a great time to show you guys another thing that I learned in my first year of gardening, which is save almost everything. So let me turn around and show you guys what I mean. Alright, so I'm packing up some of the things that I plant in for a friend. And I need to empty this one out. But I'm going to show you what's all in here and why I have saved all this stuff. So this is a bamboo plant that died in the house. This is yellowing leaves from my geranium plant. These are dead calendulas that I cut off of her. See, if you cut the dead ones off, they keep making more beautiful blooms. I'm trying not to move too fast, guys. These are just dead leaves and stuff. So if I wasn't moving, I would use this stuff at the bottom of one of my planters. For instance, this tomato is going to be moved into a larger pot when I get to Texas. Probably something more similar to those white buckets. And using this is a great way to fill up and add nutrition, because this stuff is going to die down. It's going to become soil. So I'll do like a layer of branches and wood, and then some of this brown dying, a little bit of green stuff, and then maybe some compost and soil on top. So it's a great way to feed the plants and a great way to use the plants to feed, to feed them, because plants are real. They gotta eat. That's something that I learned. It's not just plant a seed in the soil and water it every once in a while. Some plants are more heavy feeders than others. Another thing that I do when I break off like yellowing leaves, I'll show you back here with. Look at this kale. They're so happy and healthy. When I break off a dying leaf, like off of the kale, I just dig a little hole back here and cover it up so it can just decompose in there. Especially if you have worms in your garden or in your containers, that's a great way to feed your worms as well. And then the next thing that I love to save is containers. So I did purchase some of these, like these down here I purchased, but these are from nurseries, from big box stores. And when you're starting new seeds, like, you can plant in these. There's no reason to throw these out unless you really don't use them. But I reuse everything because it just helps me in my garden so much to be able to reuse materials. This is like a to-go plate. Now, because I'm moving, I probably will get rid of this one. But I drew holes in the bottom of these when I'm starting seeds off. This is a great little spot to start seeds or to have a little something in. Everything does not go in big old buckets. But as you're growing babies up, you can use the small ones, and then they can graduate to bigger containers. So reuse your dead leaves, your dead flowers and stuff, add them either to your compost, or if you have a worm bin, or you can bury them in your planters, or you can use them to stack up new planters. So that's another tip that I learned in my first year of gardening. Peace. Peace, family. So a huge thing that I learned in my garden this first year is soil health. Soil health. The soil is what actually feeds your plants, you guys. And I'm saying it like it's common sense, but it wasn't to me. I just thought I could buy the soil, put the seed in there, water it every once in a while, and I was going to have food. But no, the plants need nutrition, and the nutrition comes from the soil. So I'm going to show you guys a few things that I've learned and that I've gotten to like put in my soil. But I also want to tell you that you can compost. That's something that I learned to do this year, and I have a video already on my YouTube where I'm making one of my composts. Sorry, I dropped something. And you can also have a little worm bin, which I do have. I guess I can show you guys my worm bin. So worms are so beneficial for the plants. Worm poop is really, really good food for your plants, and broken down food scraps is really good for your plants. So if you can find a way to incorporate either worms or at least composting and adding that into your soil, it's super, super healthy for your plants. So I just put my glove on. Excuse me if my camera got a little bit shaky. We're gonna go out here where my worm bin is. So I won some worms from Turf Therapy on YouTube, and I really made a little house for them. So let me turn it around for you. Okay, so this is just a bin, but this is my worm bin. So I try to keep it a little bit moist, but not wet. Just not like you guys are rolling around in straight up dry stuff. So there is cocoa coir in here and soil in here and food in here for them. So the food is just like, let's see, I don't want to disturb them too much, but you can see one right here moving around. When you cut your cucumbers up, if you take the skin off, I put cucumber skin in here. Sometimes I put, there goes another one. There's one there and one here. Put fruit scraps, and they eat it. And I'll keep them covered up. I try not to disturb them too much. I only really come in here to see if it's bone dry or if they need more food, which is only like once every week and a half that they need more food. So that is one way. So when I make new garden beds or new buckets or whatever, I can grab some of them and put them in there, or I can grab some material from the bottom of that and add it into the container. Let me get my glove off. I also have a few things that you can add to the soil. You can buy worm castings. These are worm castings that I got from Tractor Supply. I went to Tractor Supply for the first time because I think it was Mississippi Gardening Girl. She went to Tractor Supply, and I was like, okay, well, let me see what they have. So that's something that I got from there. Those are worm castings. So if you don't want to keep worms and you like, I ain't touching worms, I'm not dealing with worms, that's cool too. Everybody gardens their own way. But you can purchase worm castings, and that's good for your plants too. You just mix it in the soil. When I was trying to save my strawberries, they still died. But I got this berry tome. But this is going to also be great, I think. I'm going to read it again for my blackberries. My husband and I just got blackberry plants, and they're doing quite well. They sell them at the commissary. I had no idea. But here's one. So all this like super green, the brighter green, and this, that's new growth since we got this one. And this is another one. I think they're two different kinds. But that berry fertilizer may be good for them. So once you get something, it's an asset. Keep it. You may get something later that you can use it with. We also have citrus tone. We have a Meyer lemon tree, and we want to get more citrus trees too. And right now we're all container gardening because we're on a patio. So if you have containers especially, you want to make sure that you're fertilizing and replenishing the nutrients in the soil, because it runs right on out of your containers. And then 511. Miss Linda taught me this. Miss Linda and Lead Farmer 73. Miss Linda, she put that 511. She said, no, if you live in her garden, you getting fertilized every 10 days, whether you like it or not, boo. And they all look good. So thank you, Miss Linda. I do every 2 to 3 weeks, it says on the bottle. So that's what I do for my containers. That's really good for leaf growth, especially, which they also eat from the leaves from the sun. But don't forget they eat from the bottom too. Where those roots are, those roots need nutrients. So soil health is a big, it's like number 2 most important thing in the garden. Okay? All right. Peace. All right, family, it's our last day in San Diego and it's time to pack up the garden. I hope that I was able to share some valuable things with you guys about what I learned in my first year of gardening. It was so much fun, so much learning, so many lessons. There was life and death in the garden. But I'm super grateful, and I can't wait to just grow more and eat more and learn more and can more. And I'm really taking my power back with this garden, and I'm super excited. I just want to encourage you guys to do the same. So if you like this video, comment, like, subscribe, share if you feel led. Thank you so much for making it to the end, and bless you. Peace.